Hi, I just reread the classic book Richest Man in Babylon, and that made me think about you guys and other people out there that could use the information provided in the book because there was a lot of wisdom that I think are as useful nowadays as it was when the book was written about 1926 and as useful as it was about the area where the book is about, which was about 4,000 years ago in Babylon. And Babylon is in the Middle East, around the place where Iraq is today. So, 4,000 years ago, this was the place on Earth where banks were actually evolving. People were taking personal loans. They were doing advanced arithmetics and mathematics, etc. So, in terms of development, this was peak of the world at the moment. And basically, the book is about a person named Arcad who supposedly was the richest man in Babylon at his time then. And we get to know Arcad in the book and his development from being a slave to the richest man and what core principles he used along his journey to become the man he was. And this book is a classic personal finance book written in 1926 by George Clason. And despite being written in 26, it's still very, very useful. And I think the principles in the book are timeless and you should know about them. So, yeah, let's get to it. So, what we learn about Arcad's core principles, financial principles, the richest man in Babylon. The first one who got him to be rich was start thy purse to fattening, meaning that you need to increase and fattening your bank account and doing that through saving at least 10% of everything you earn. And you do that before you start to have any expenditures. You need to remove 10%. It's the only way to build self-confidence in terms of financial output and gaining momentum in your personal financial journey. And this is basically, some people say it's impossible because I have the kids, I have this and that. That is cost. Then you need to rearrange your life so you can remove 10% before everything else. So basically, if you live close to a big city, maybe you need to move away where it's a bit cheaper so you can remove 10% of what you earn, and then you start to have expenditure with the money left. So this is a core principle. Maybe it's a hard one, but it's not impossible. And if you earn less money, you need to even lower your expenses to always have that 10%. So they are very hard on this in the book. So even though you don't earn a lot of money, this 10% rule, that you save at least 10% of everything you earn, will be very useful at all earning classes. So there are no ways of telling or speaking about this first point and say it's impossible, because if you do that, it's already over if we're gonna follow those ancient principles that we learn throughout this book. So over time, the 10% you will not just gain financial momentum that you can use and reinvest the money in different ways and become richer. You will also gain confidence in being able to stand on your own and building momentum in different areas of your life. So it's very important to do that. And also in the modern society where money gets inflated so fast, and a lot of money printing going in turbo in at the central banks, we really need to remove a bit of our earnings so we can save that in for later, maybe for investments or in some stocks, or however you want to save your money. Uh, Number two of seven cures for a lean purse, one that is Arcad's core financial principles in the book, is number two is control thy expenditures. So this basically means live below your means. You should not confuse desires with necessities. In the book, they talked about Some people wanted a fresh goat leg and some chilled water. And obviously, this cost a lot of money at the moment, and it felt very good because you have worked really, really hard, maybe at the farm, different types of tasks, and basically you need the reward to feel good, that dopamine kick. And Orchid was just sitting there at some of these dinners feeling stupid because he couldn't afford or did not want to waste his money. This was at the beginning before he was rich, seeing people feasting in goat legs. And obviously, that feast can be done if you already are rich, but before that, you should have constraints on yourself and on your spending, and you should know what is really necessary at the moment and what do I desire, and let the desire be a push forward, but don't confuse that with the necessity of spreading your money on everything. You need to remove 10%. So this is kind of an evolution of the first principle we talked about. So remember what I say, take notes if you have the time. um, and even today, the desires are so easily, we are very tempted. Slots machines are digital nowadays. Uh, Being manual from the beginning, it wasn't like that fast paced dopamine kick thing. But now it's so easy to just blim 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 at the casino and just waste money because it feels like you're winning a little bit. You can try a lot more in 1 minute now when it's digital than you could before, etc. It's the same with sports betting online. It's so easy to just bet. You can bet $100. Maybe some people earn $100 in a day. Just one click and the money is gone. On sports betting, it's so easy, so fast. Same with your time. If you see time is money, just getting stuck on TikTok, on Instagram Reels, or whatever, they have like a way of gaining your attention. And yeah, you should control the expenditures in different ways. So that's very, very important. And don't forget that. Over to rule number 3: make thy gold multiply. So now we have, firstly, save at least 10% of everything you earn, and secondly, live below your means. Number 3 is the money you get, the money you earn. Invest that money, and through doing so, make thy gold multiply. So invest it wisely, so your savings actually earn more. So back in the days, during the time of Babylon, maybe you loaned out some money to someone who needed it. You got back the same money and a bit more, and by doing so, it's you're getting more money through the investment. And as of today, that might be investing in the stock market. Might be the easiest way for people who has access to the stock market. Just buying an index fund or whatever. So that is often a wisely thing to do. Following the big indexes, like for example, the index of USA, the Nasdaq, or Dow Jones, or the S&P 500, etc. That almost every time, if you have a long enough time span, that kind of funds, index funds, increase over time. So that is sort of what they mean here. And through doing that, you can have the earnings you have on the side, and that can multiply instead of just being in cash. Because as I told you in another episode, if you just save in cash, the money supply will inflate through inflation every year, and the money will be worth less. So you need to have a way of multiply your money to not be left behind. So the modern society is basically built on being in the stock market, owning assets, etc. And if you don't do that, it's hard to keep up. And don't forget the term invest wisely here. So basically, you need to understand what you are investing in. If you loan out money or invest in some specific company that you don't know too much about, the possibility of you losing money is a lot higher. And that has sadly happened too many times, especially when you invest in your local markets and maybe some friend of yours said, "Oh, this is company is wonderful, invest here," or you invest in some your friend's company, whatever, and you don't really understand, but you feel like, "Oh, of course, I can trust that person." Often that is a fast way to fail. You should not loan out money or invest just because it's your friend or your family member. You need to pick solid investments based on your investment thesis and your risk tolerance level. So number 3 was make thy goal multiply. Number 4, guard thy treasures from loss. And this is like um, I talked about this during the number 3 also. You need to avoid risky or shady investments. So basically, consult with experts or read about the company, understand how money works, how valuations works, how the company is being evaluated, or yeah, be if you don't avoid risky or shady investments, you need to be prepared for the risks, and you can't be angry when losing money, because in the end of the day, if you just listen to someone and you don't understand and you lose money, you can't blame them. You have to take 100% responsibility for the investments that you do. And by doing so, is obviously you can learn to avoid the risks and the shady investments. And in the book, they take an example here where one character loaned out his money. He just started to earn more money and he loaned out money to someone. I think it was like the partner of his sister, and he did not get the money back, obviously, because. And number 5, another thing from the book that we can learn is the rule of make of thy dwelling a profitable investment. So this might not be very easy as of 2025, but basically this means own your home instead of renting if feasible. So if you can, you should buy your home so you don't have to pay rent, because if you pay rent, obviously the person who rent the home to you, that person needs to um, get their investment back and some more. So you are paying a rent that will cover the cost for them to maintain their house and invest in the house, improving the building, etc., and also the amortizations for the loans, etc. So if you can, over time, it's better to own your home, but obviously it can be hard to buy a home, especially if you're young. But yeah, depending on what country, this could be easier or harder. So in some of the bigger countries, bigger cities in the Western worlds, obviously it's very hard as a young person to buy a home. But in the end of the day, if you can, it's a good investment long term often. Um, Number 6 is ensure a future income. So you should always have a long-term perspective. I've talked about this on this channel many times, that when you invest, don't try to make fast money in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. It's too hard. It doesn't fit the fundamental rules of how money works. The real way and easy way and more secure way of making money is have that long-term vision, and you have to prepare long-term for your old age. And you do that by securing a future income, and you don't do it too fast. You have to follow the steps here in the book that has been stated, and you do that step by step so you can prepare for old age. You have to cover future cost, for example, if you have a bad health, insurances, savings, traveling costs, etc. And when you are old, it was a lot of examples of this in the book. You don't have the money to, excuse me, you don't have the money to do the things you did when you worked if you don't save money beside. Because everyone, when we stop working, in some countries you have a pension, maybe 70%, 70 or 75% of your salary, but never 100%. And in some countries you don't even have like a pension. You have to save that besides. So what we have seen in the modern society is many people, they are continuing to work until the end, because they can't afford to stop working because they have to keep up their lifestyle, etc. So prepare for old age. If you do that, you can prolong your life, have more healthy years, maybe after your 65 years, and enjoying that later stages of your life. And I think that's very important. So spending a bit less money so you can have a great life long term, having a better later season of your life, if we want to put it that way. And 7, you always need to increase thy ability to learn and to earn. So by increasing the ability to earn money, you have to invest in your own skills, your education, and raise your income potential. So you can not stay, for example, in the book as maybe as a slave. You can increase your knowledge, so you can maybe start as a blacksmith or a farmer, or etc., providing more knowledge as you go. And when you do that, as money works, as the society works, you will be paid more. Obviously you have to not just have a better earnings ability, you have to also being able to ask for more. So you can't just stay at the same job. You have to have a vision, and going forward, being able to ask for improvement, ask for higher salaries, but you can't ask for higher salaries first. You always have to do the work first. You always have to improve your skills first. You always have to push and be at your best first, and after that, the reward shall come. And this is something that I've tried myself, and it always works. And if you try to negotiate salaries, etc., and not doing the work, not improving yourself, somewhere you do know that you are not contributing in the way you could, and this will actually affect your self-worth, and making you feel worse. So by improving yourself and not expecting too much too fast, will actually in the long term leave you much happier and wealthier. So always increase your ability through education, um, to earn more throughout your life. You can't just go to work and not improving yourself when you're not working. If you know the person Jim Rohn, he was talking about this many times, stating that you should work as hard as yourself, or even harder than you do at your work. And by doing so, you will improve your earnings capabilities, and in the long run become a lot wealthier. And I know Jim Rohn also loved this book, The Richest Man in Babylon, and the insights from the book. And I can see some similarities in what he built a career in personal development through some of the principles. So this is really principles that works, that has been tested, especially in the USA, the richest country in the world. So we just need to understand that money has a way of working, and we should not work against that. We should understand that, and through that we can choose if we want to get richer or not. And what this book really tells us is also, it's not just about wealth. You will, through following the rules, you will feel better about yourself. You will become more free with your time. Your self-worth will increase, and you will also become wealthier. So this is when you have these kind of um, ancient rules, you should really listen carefully.